Hello everybody and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am TheOutbackAl.
I'm Chibi Noob.
I'm Envy Jitters.
I'm CheerandCosplay.
And I'm Kozi.
And it's the end of Crazy Animation Month, and we figured why not end Crazy Animation Month with one of the studios that has some of the craziest animations. Let's do some trigger stuff. Promare was a movie that had
Yes, it
some.
was.
It's unique in its look, but sort of it's. I mean, you can always tell a trigger show whenever you're watching one.
I was thinking about this,
Yeah.
when we were, planning for this podcast. There's two kinds of trigger.
Mhm.
There's subdued trigger, and then there's crazy as shit trigger. Subdued trigger is shows like that Keys Niver show we watched, or even Little Witch Academia to a certain extent.
Keys Niver was a trigger show, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
Weird
But
to think
then
about.
there's batshit insanity trigger, and this movie is, I think, the ultimate batshit trigger.
I think this movie was like a showcase.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I feel like, honestly, while I was watching it, I felt kind of like I was watching a video game, like an indie game. Because it had all of the different textures and everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the it's kind of like got the what is that? The cell shading kind of look like Overwatch or something has nowadays. Yeah, a little bit of that. So, who's seen this before today?
Me.
Nope.
Kind of.
I mean, the
I
only
took
thing.
Cece to see it when it premiered, and she fell asleep for over half of it.
You fell asleep in a theater watching this,
Yeah.
and you weren't woken
Okay.
up by any of the explosions or nothing.
And
Like,
we were cosplaying as them. That's how excited I was for this movie premiere.
I really wanted to like this movie. Like, I love the color palette, I love Trigger, and I was still working night shift at that time.
okay.
And
yeah,
this
that'll
was
do
the
it.
Sunday after a convention.
It was
So I had
Okay.
after. This was the Sunday.
It was a Sunday, like, we went from the convention to this movie, and I had been struggling to, like, not mess up my night sleeping schedule, but also enjoy the convention during the day, and I was just, I crashed so hard.
So you were like running on fumes for like 4 days straight when you saw this.
Yeah.
I almost feel like that
And-
should have given you like a weird high while you were watching it, like mushrooms, but I don't
We
know.
got stopped for so many pictures.
I mean,
I don't
you-
remember that.
did you not think that was going to happen if you went to the movie dressed as the characters in the movie?
No! But Cece was like, yeah, and smiley and bubbly as Leo. I'm like, oh my god, please!
You got the wrong character. You picked
I
the wrong
know.
character for that.
I did wake up when they were getting the, like, lore dump, and Galo
Okay.
kept falling asleep. I woke up for a minute, I was like, I dressed as the wrong character, and fell back asleep.
I mean, honestly, yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so some people have
I-
seen this, some people haven't, and some people
Yeah.
only saw half of it. Yeah, Chibi, what was your
Happens
initial
to
thoughts
us.
of this?
Again, I thought it was like watching like an indie game, sort of like the gameplay, but also kind of like the cutscenes all thrown together. I enjoyed it. I can see why people like it. It might be a little overhyped for me, but I enjoyed it.
No, I kind of feel you. I kind of feel the same way, Jibs. Like, I remember everyone was going batshit, pun intended, batshit insane for the movie when it premiered in theaters, and I saw it like a year later when it came to streaming. So I was like, oh boy, I can't wait to see this. Is this going to be like Kill la Kill for me, or like Kill la Kill was batshit insane, but to me had a really good story that drew me in. And with this film, it kind of this is going to be a weird comparison, but like, it kind of reminded me of Redline, where the story is not really important. But unlike Redline, the story really didn't matter to me. It was just more about the race. Whereas with this movie, they kind of had a bunch of lore to it, and I really didn't get that much invested in the lore or the characters. So I was just mainly focused on, the witty banter and the cool fight scenes. So that's kind of how I felt with the movie.
Funny enough, like, I think, because I watched this with Yin, they're not able to be with us today because they had a prior, like, commitment that they had to deal with. But
Right.
they said about the same thing in regard especially to Redline, and I kind of agree with that a little bit. First off, I love Redline. That's one of my favorite anime movies just in general because it is nothing but hype and awesome. And I think this has a lot of those elements too. Do we want to talk a little bit about plot, or we just want to, like, what do we want to go into first, really, about this thing?
I mean, we can talk about that, but Kozi, what were your impressions of it?
I actually want to ask Cece, did you actually end up liking it now that you've watched it?
Oh, that's
Yes,
a good question.
I wanted to redo Leo, but I felt like I couldn't until I rewatched it. Now that I have, it's like, okay, all right, we can throw that back in the cosplanner.
Also, like, you can't say I typecasted you wrong. The little twink who's angry and on fire, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's valid.
I was super hyped. I rewatched it. I was just as hyped as the first time. Like, it just, like, it has stuff to get, like, your excitement going.
I always I thought about this yesterday. Do you guys remember the, I think there was a meme from Dragon Ball Z Abridged where Trunks asks Vegeta,
Do you really believe your own hype that much? I am the hype!
I feel like that's the whole philosophy of Studio Trigger, is just to, I am the hype! So, and in that regard, I think this movie is an absolute triumph for them. I mean, honestly, weirdly enough, because I have seen a number of their works at this point, like, it does almost feel like a weird pseudo demo reel of all their other shows in a way, because we have, like, nothing for nothing, but we're just gonna say Gallo is Kamina from Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
there's no
The
other
hair.
way to put it. Like,
The hair. Yeah, the hair.
the hair, the personality, the everything. And you have, like, a whole bunch of, like, I mean, I feel like if you watch enough of their stuff, it's like, yeah, they have particular kind of stories that they like to tell in that. And I think, to some degree, I think maybe the plot fell a little bit flat because of the shorter runtime of the fact that it's a movie, but I feel like their animation's always, like, right up there with just, wow, you put, like, 150% into this, and I'm enjoying the hell out of this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know Trigger is very divisive for people in the anime community, and it's not because they do bad animation. It's mainly their style and their tone that they do for their works. But I've never had a problem with Trigger's animation. Like, they always go above and beyond when it comes to their work, at least for me.
Also, like, total commendation for them. Like, the giant robot fights start, like, almost exactly halfway through the movie and last until the end of it. And a lot of the scenes before that were straight fight scenes. Like, that is a lot of animation they did.
They
Yeah,
were not
especially-
straight.
Especially
Okay, that's fair.
the large volume of fight scenes, and with the very, like, fast-paced animation style that they have, like, it's always really impressive just to watch. Even when it's, like, a
Yeah.
little bit of a different kind of, like, you can definitely tell there's a lot of CG in this movie, maybe a little more than a lot of some of their other works. But, I mean,
the
we
fire
have to...
hydrants.
The fire hydrants, I feel like most of the backgrounds,
The
or even,
buildings.
like, the buildings, yeah. But I've said before, I think, putting CGI as your background for fast-paced action scenes is usually the way to go.
So,
But,
like, that's why I say it feels like a showcase. Like, it felt more like a proof of concept. Like, look at how much mixed media we threw into this thing and how beautiful it still looks, and how fluid the shifting from different, like, CGI to, like, hand-drawn to, like, that really, really simplistic kind of animation and back again.
So do you feel like this was sort of an experiment on their part to, like, see
Oh,
what they could do moving
100%.
forward? Because I do know that one of the complaints about their animation style has been, like, they have, like, that clip art thing in a lot of their early work where it's like, I'm just gonna put this PNG over a background and just move the PNG around kind of thing. That I do remember seeing for some stuff.
I mean, tonally for some things it actually works really well, particularly if you're doing something somewhat comedic.
Yeah.
Or, like, to make it, like, lighter in tone. Honestly, to backpedal a little bit onto something you said earlier, Al, I feel like for me, maybe I would have liked seeing this a little bit better had it been, like, long form.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, a series. But that's just me, mostly because I feel like for something like this, I would like to see it a little bit more drawn out. But I don't know. That's a me thing.
I'm
Continue.
actually in complete agreement. If we want to just go over real quick what the plot is, and then we can talk about that a little bit, I think that would probably work. So this is Earth, but different Earth where people have fire powers because of reasons that are explained halfway through the movie, and fire's a big problem. So you have to have mech suit firefighters, and who's gonna be a better mech suit firefighter than Kamina? But his name is Gallo in this world, and it's them fighting Fire Magneto, and except he's a twink, and yeah, like a whole.
You know what? You know what's funny about this movie?
I mean, a lot of things, but go ahead.
Well, I don't know how long this movie was in development for because it came out in 2019. So maybe it takes 2 or 3 years to get the movie animated.
They announced it.
Film.
They announced it in 2017, so it might have been in pre-production at that point. So 3 years, maybe.
There was a anime based on a manga adaptation that came out the exact same year, Fire Force, and
Yeah, we
everyone
were gonna
was
get
making
there
the
eventually.
comparisons.
I was
Okay.
going to bring that up too.
I was like, I feel like I'm watching that one firefighter anime, but this
Just-
is not that.
We'll probably talk about that a little more in depth a little bit later. But like, just real quick, who has seen Fire Force? Because I haven't.
I have not.
Same. Me.
I haven't even
I've
heard
seen-
of this.
Oh well, hey, there's
Okay, I
another
haven't
firefighter.
seen
show
Fire
for you.
Force, but I have read it.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you have
I-
some
I-
experience. Okay.
Yeah, but I just thought that was funny how it was about, in theory, 2 shows or 2 properties of people battling, people that spontaneously combust into fire.
This would be a very long tangent that I won't go into, but if you want to talk to me later about all the movies that came out in the same year that had the all like extremely similar plots or other things like that, it's honestly, they're usually coincidental, but it is kind of weird how often they happen sometimes.
Or
And-
similar
and- yeah.
themes.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
because that happens
I
a lot
mean,
with books.
There's like a lot that are like, oh my god, you made the same movie with just different people, and they came out months apart, kind of thing.
Yep.
And going back real quick to what Kozi was saying about being like a proof of concept, you're not technically wrong because this was Studio Trigger's first feature-length movie. They did the 2 short films, A Little Witch Academia, beforehand, but this was their first ever feature-length movie. So you're not wrong. This was a proof of concept for them to do, like,
It's
if they
also,
could do
I don't think you guys realized how badly Studio Trigger was doing when they produced Gurren Lagann.
Well, they weren't
Like-
a thing yet, for one thing.
They couldn't even get Gurren Lagann on like a standard like American channel. It ended up on the Sci-Fi Network.
To be fair, back in the day, Sci-Fi did have some did show a lot of stuff.
They
so
had
it's
real
at least
bangers,
something.
but they were only there because they couldn't get anywhere else in the Western audience.
Just to be clear, though, Gurren Lagann was made by Gainax, but that might be a whole other thing. Studio Trigger's first thing was technically Kill la Kill in 2013.
their first feature-length thing. Let's not forget the brilliance that was Inferno Cop.
Oh, right. That was like a web series or something, right?
Yeah.
It's completely stupid, but I love it.
No, yeah, I've seen some episodes of it. but
Kill
yeah.
Kills before Gurren Lagann?
No, Kill la Kill was not before Gurren Lagann.
Kill la Kill was 6 years after Gurren Lagann came out in 2007 under Gainax, and then a bunch of the people who worked on that left, formed Trigger, and then released Kill la Kill in 2013. And then Inferno Cop
Got
was
it.
somewhere in there too, but we don't really talk about Inferno Cop very much. Anyway, so what were you saying? Like they were not doing well around 2013-ish, or because they were formed in 2011.
No, just in general. Like Gurren Lagann was like the first time those people had like any kind of critical success to their name. And it wasn't like an immediate thing. It picked up a little bit after the show had already gone on for a while. It was more of like a cult classic thing, but like in a much shorter time frame of how it got noticed.
I think we might have to discuss what a cult classic is defined as then, but
I don't know how else to describe it, Al.
it was a sleeper hit.
Sure.
Okay, so firefighters and mutants with fire powers and Magneto stuff, and then there's also a spaceship that's going to take everybody off of Earth, because Earth's about to blow up in 6 months, and giant robots, and then, more fighting, some straight baiting for once, and then some, actual, we know who the true pairing of this movie is. And then we're going to destroy the evil guy who started it all, who's also one of the mutants because things, and we're using people as batteries, and just if I start to sound like I'm rambling, it's because the script kind of does ramble a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you don't care. It's awesome. So, that's the plot, or as best I could. That was a terrible summary. Go watch the movie for yourself. But yeah.
How many episodes are we into this podcast?
Too many. But at the same time, sometimes we watch something that's like, well, how do I describe this? I don't know. Go fucking watch it. You know what I mean?
It's cool.
A villain with a god complex. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's a very trigger thing
Every
to have.
studio trigger.
Yeah. So I think, so kind of the thing that I think, Chibi, you were talking about with this probably should have been a longer thing. I agree with that because, you know, we jump in with a lot of like hype scenes of like the firefighting elements and the fighting the firebenders and all that sort of stuff, and it's really cool. And then we just start getting like some lore dumps and stuff, and it's like, I feel like you could have a larger plot here with some more characters, flesh out some of the stuff, maybe flesh out the lore a little bit, because we do get very hard lore dumping.
Yeah.
Like, right before the end of the movie. And it's like, dude, we're already like an hour and 20 minutes into this.
Hey, it was a Deus Ex Machina.
And they acknowledge it, I guess.
I mean, they do, in name. I think the thing, even, like, not even just so much more of, like, it being, like, more of a long-form series, I feel like I needed more from the characters.
Yeah.
Because I want to feel attached. And while I liked them well enough, I didn't get attached. So when things started happening to people, felt like I was more just watching the plot of the things happen rather than like the things happening to the characters themselves, which I don't know. I feel like I need to form attachment for me to like be like sort of like kind of in it, or at least more in it than I was.
I feel that, and I think it's especially like true as far as like the extended cast goes. Like the rest of the firefighter team. They each get their own like nameplate thing. They each get their own like little, you can tell each of them has their own personality and their own things going on. We don't know shit about any of them. We know that one of them has a sister who's part of the bad guy team. That's about the extent of that, which is unfortunate because they probably could have had a lot more if this was like maybe a 6 to 12 episode series. And then you get a little more character, you get a little more story, you get a little more, just a little more of the world even. And that probably could have helped a little bit. I think, when I think, like, Envy, you mentioned it, Yin also talked about, like, this kind of reminds us of Redline a little bit, in that it's like, you're mostly here for the spectacle. That's great, but also, Redline is an extremely simple plot. We're gonna go race crazy cars across a planet. It's as simple as that.
Like Redline was a simple story,
yes.
So it could afford to have a simple, simple.
You don't gotta worry about it.
Yeah, but with Promare, if it was simply about them battling the fire people, and you had that rival guy, the twink, as everyone's been calling him, Leo, that would have been fine. But then once you get to the halfway point where you get the giant robots and the god people, and it's like, that's when it's like, okay, that's you're trying to explain way too much stuff in such a short period of time.
Yeah, that's kind of where you start to, like, that's where the plot is no longer simple, and it's like, okay, maybe we need a little more time to let this plot breathe a little bit. The animation's still amazing, it's still very hype, and I'm loving these robot fights, but, maybe a little more gravity could have been added to them with a little bit more of a runtime.
Okay, I'm gonna say something that's kind of fucked up, and you guys might be mad at me for it.
Go for it.
But I feel like you're not really connecting maybe with the burnish and the gravitas of, like, the plot. Probably because you haven't been, like, discriminated against in that way before.
I was sort of, like, feeling like, I'm like, oh, this is really shitty what's happening to them. But I want to kind of get a bit more.
Again, this is, like, kind of fucked up, but, like, none of you necessarily have, like, fought for your rights.
And we've never read or seen any stories like that in our entire lives. Is that essentially what you're saying?
It's different. As someone who was, like, on the front line of, like, gay rights from, like, the time I was, like, a little teeny tiny baby, like, it's different. Like, the connection I had with the Burnish, without even getting much of characters, was like an instant thing, an instant sympathetic understanding.
Maybe more empathetic.
Yeah, we're not saying we didn't have empathy for them, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like we're going into like the characters. The only real Burnish we know is Leo.
You
That's
guys
it.
might not have connected with them in that way, though, because you've never experienced anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know that I can speak to that. I'm just saying that, like, yeah, it didn't give me a lot to work with there, and I feel like I would have connected more had we maybe gotten to know a few more of them. But again, that's more time. It's kind of the same problem that the firefighting team has. Again, they seem really cool, but at the same time, I didn't remember any of their names. But at the same time, it's almost like none of them are important except for Gallo, Leo, and Cray. Which, okay, if you're going to pick 3 characters to be the most important parts of the movie, sure, that absolutely makes sense, and that works. But everyone else kind of feels like window dressing at that point. Which is unfortunate, because they probably do have really good stories.
I want to know what was going on between Ignis and Vulcan.
Remind me of... Oh, wait, Vulcan was the over-the-top bald guy, right?
Yep.
I feel like
tiny.
maybe saying over-the-top is a superlative for this entire thing, but...
No. He was overcompensating. That's what his problem was.
Oh, that's a good way to put it, yes.
Well, because he's very small, apparently.
So
yes.
So Ignis and Vulcan, what were we saying? Steve Bloom
They
and
got
Baldwin.
some tension.
They got history. I'm sure they were vying for the same position at some point.
Yeah.
But that's stuff we don't know.
I'll
Yeah, like who would top?
No, it's Steve Bloom. We know who's on top.
Oh, who watched this dub and who watched it sub?
Dub.
So, I'm sorry, guys. I can't really do anything with Johnny Young Bosch. I can't.
No. So, like, that's the thing. Cece ended up watching it in dub. We originally saw it in sub, and when I decided to rewatch it, I also rewatched it in sub, because I heard Johnny Young Bosch coming out of the speaker, and I was like, that better not be fucking Gallo. Wait, never mind, that better not be fucking Leo.
Is Johnny Young Boss Chibi your Bryce Pappenbrook for me?
I don't really care for either of them. So, and you know how harsh I am on dubbing.
Yeah.
So, it's just, I know he's so well known for being Ichigo in Bleach, and that's like his iconic role, but
What about...
for some reason, it didn't work for me then, and his voice doesn't work for me in anything else he's been in.
I'll be completely honest, I did not know he was the main character of Bleach.
You didn't?
Nope.
Huh.
You haven't watched much
I
Bleach?
never watched Bleach, so...
There you go. I just know him as a Power Ranger, man. That's what I know. Yeah, Billy Kametz was Gallo. I've always
Rest
liked
in
his
peace.
work. Yeah. And nothing for nothing. I think you miss out when you don't watch the dub with Crispin Freeman as Cray.
Oh,
He
Jesus
was
Christ.
amazing.
So,
Nah,
in the
I'm good.
sub, Cray actually has a very soft, gentle, high-pitched voice.
Oh yes, it
That's
does, and
weird.
honestly, it's quite a contrast for later on in the show.
It is.
So wait, is he like the dog from Up?
A little bit,
Oh, jeez.
kinda.
I might have to
Yeah,
look up some of that, but I still like Crispin
it's
Freeman.
just when he gets serious, like, his entire voice and demeanor changes.
Yep.
Hmm.
And, like, I love Crispin Freeman, but Crispin Freeman has, like, one voice.
Yeah, but it's a good voice.
It is a good voice, and it does not look like it should come out of that man's mouth.
No, that is impressive.
I need you to put up a picture of Crispin Freeman right here.
Yeah, sure.
That man looks like a 12-year-old white boy. Well, maybe not anymore, because he's, like, in his 50s, but, like...
Yeah, so seems like some mixed feelings on dub stuff a little bit, but I enjoyed myself. Trying to think how are we feeling about, like, some of the mechas and the action stuff like that? Was everyone able to follow it entirely? Because I know sometimes really fast-paced action, some people can get lost in it, but I feel like Trigger usually does pretty well with keeping focus where they need to.
I just go with the flow at that point. I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is batshit insanity. I'm appreciating the animators here.
So, I think for me, I was able to follow it a lot better than some of the stuff in Demon Slayer that I've seen. Which, no offense to Demon Slayer, but you've got way too much going on the screen with, like, not just the sword fighting, but also with, like, their breathing techniques and all of the animations for that, that I'm just like, okay, eyeballs don't know where to focus.
Yeah, you gotta start watching dub for
I'm
that.
interested in, like, the perspective of, like, I know they're at least Cece and Chibi. I feel like you guys don't normally like the mech stuff.
I think it kind of depends on, like, how it's done. Because, I mean, I enjoyed Ava fine enough, but also it's just, like, it's generally not a genre I normally gravitate towards, mostly just because, I don't know, usually a lot of them have, like, some sort of, like, military plot, and that's generally not something I normally go for.
Oh, maybe that's it. I didn't think about that.
Because half the time they're fighting a war.
Post
Come
Gundam,
on.
yeah, a lot of them. But there's actually, I could probably tell you about like some of the older shows that were pre-Gundam that were actually more like, yeah, no, the robots like got superpowers and all that sort of stuff. I actually kind of feel like there is a bit of a spectrum for mecha anime. And like Gundam's very much here's the realistic, like, serious kind of stuff. And then you have stuff like this Gurren Lagann, Mazinger, like Z and Gigantor and stuff like that are all like, yeah, no, crazy silliness.
Full Metal Panic.
I put that like somewhere in the middle, like, cause like for part of it they're like, yeah, no, we're gonna be really serious, and then halfway through it's like, no, we have magic now.
Well,
So-
let's also not forget too that Trigger co-produced another mecha show the year prior that was very divisive but had good action in it, Darling in the Franxx. So
Yeah, we had a
That
couple
was a
darling.
trigger.
it was co-produced by Cloverworks and Trigger.
I'm so disappointed, but not surprised.
So, I think going back to why I don't generally go for mechs, I think that was the reason why, while I was watching like the first couple seasons of Voltron, why I was a little more into that, because while there is an intergalactic war going on, we are getting to know a lot of the characters, and I don't know, that for me felt like more of like a space adventure, rather than like more of like a military sort of
Hey.
like based show.
Cray wanted this to be a space adventure.
He did, but he epically failed and was a dick about it, okay?
Gallows at all 4 feet on the ground. Yeah, I guess I'm really all or nothing with mechas.
That's
It's
fair.
like I'd still consider Voltron one of my favorite shows. I really liked Gurren Lagann, but yeah, I don't know, a lot of the Gundam stuff I can't get into.
I feel like you have not seen any of the good Gundam stuff, is the thing.
Yeah, Gundam has had so many iterations that it's like they've had enough time to be like, we've
Yeah,
got
you
amazing shit and we've got garbage.
You can't just throw a dart at the board there. Like, you have to watch specific ones.
What is your experience with Gundam? Now I need to know.
The tournament.
Oh my fucking god!
Dude, if that's it, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I thought you were
I
gonna be
feel
like
like
Gundam
Iron-Blooded
SD or
Orphan's
some
a fair
shit.
one to start them on.
Which one?
Iron-Blooded Orphan.
I haven't seen that one. I really was never really into Gundam very much myself. I do remember, I think it was G Gundam was the other tournament one, weirdly
Oh.
enough.
You
And
know
I do
what?
remember some of
Actually-
Gundam Wing.
Actually, we can watch Lesbians.
Yeah, it's Iron Blood,
Yep.
or that's the witch one, right?
Yeah, the Witch from Mercury.
Okay, yeah.
That's the only one I've ever seen too. So
I'm gonna throw this out there. If we ever do another tournament about sports anime, like, let's throw in G Gundam. Or was it Gundam Seed, or was that the one that came
Fucking
afterward? Hang on. I gotta remember which my Gundams are. Yeah, Mobile Fighter G Gundam. I like that. It's the racist one.
No.
Okay, it's not it's the Olympics with Gundams. So every
Oh.
country
Fair,
has a
but
Gundam,
also, like,
but
we both know where G Gundam goes, and that is not sports anime.
it's kind of sports anime. It's the Olympics with Gundams. Look, if Zoids is a sports anime,
I feel like we're playing very fast and loose with the definition of sports.
Yeah, but I've said how many things are basically anime, so, we play fast and loose with plenty.
let's look up Webster's dictionary and let's define the word sport, and then we can see what qualifies as sport.
Do you wear a helmet? Then it's a sport.
What about soccer?
Not a sport. Not here in America.
I don't know, some idol shows are sports animes.
So
Are they wearing
kick
helmets?
Blue Lock out of the tournament.
Would you what?
We'll kick Blue Lock out of the tournament.
I haven't actually watched Blue Lock yet,
no.
so.
Oh, it's basically a sports anime, but all the characters are the villain.
Cool.
Yeah, that's like sports anime, but what if not sports anime?
Yeah, they're basically all in it to win it for themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all.
But
Well,
that's the thing, though. It's the antithesis of what a sports anime should be.
Assassins. Assassins in soccer.
Someone once described it to me like most sports animes, it's like not sports, but then this one it's a war show masquerading as sports.
It is literally like they're trying to assassinate each other.
Yep.
Okay,
They all wanna be the
you're
best.
actually making it sound
like
pretty good to
sniper
me.
rifle scoping and everything.
God damn. Some people take not sports very seriously.
Sounds like a less comical version of Eye Shield.
Ooh, I love Eye Shield.
All right, all
Guy
things we
shields.
can add to a list for a later date.
Okay.
So, Studio Trigger's Promare, not a sports anime, unless I don't know. Does anyone think this could be considered a sports
quit.
anime?
I'm leaving the podcast.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, competitive firefighting.
Nothing for nothing. I haven't gone specifically to those ones, but I have a relative who worked for like a utility company. We did have a lineman
Yes!
rodeo one time.
Those little competitions where they're like, who can set the ladder up the quickest?
Yeah.
Who can haul the most? Those are so much fun.
There's a lot of stuff like that. The electrical worker and lineman one that I went to was pretty good. I love that they live in a world where when you announce who you are, an actual like physical world title card for you shows up behind you.
Yeah.
And it
It's
gets
a fantastic
broadcasted on
event.
the news and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're showing up on the screens.
A
It's like the main
three-dimensional
cards
object.
are like diegetic.
Like the one joke that they missed is that someone should have tripped over someone else's title card.
Oh, I would have loved that.
Yeah.
I think someone did throw theirs at someone.
Okay,
Ooh.
all right, that feels very Trigger. What else do we have to talk about here? Because I mean, it's mostly about the hype, isn't it?
I think they could very easily make a follow-up to this as like an animated series because it does kind of end with them burning the world down to send the interdimensional alien fire back home.
Yeah, spoilers.
Nuclear
It's
fire.
Spoilers for a Trigger show. It was aliens in the last minute. They know what they're about.
If it ain't broke.
I mean,
Which is funny because they're doing an adaptation of Delicious in Dungeon right now, and if they change the ending of the manga to where aliens come from the dungeon, that'll be funny.
to be fair,
Trigger
The
too.
aliens were the adventurers all along.
the aliens were the friends we made along the way.
So,
All right.
Senshi.
When you say follow-up for this, would you prefer it, like, I think it'd be hard to do a sequel because the main, like, premise of the show is kind of gone now. But, like, would you want to see, like, a remake as a series instead?
I would honestly still be a slut for just a sequel with world building.
Yeah,
I
I
hear
kind of
you.
want to see how the Burnished live now.
Without their powers?
I want to see if they shoot a fire to try and put it out because that's the only thing they associate firefighting with.
I mean, don't they not have their powers anymore?
Yeah, they don't.
They don't.
So, it's now just Earth, but everyone's got fire trauma. Like, I'm not saying they couldn't have a sequel, I just feel like it's only gonna be, like, 20 minutes.
There's a lot they could do with it. It would just not be a very Trigger-esque show,
And
I
that's-
feel like.
That's
Yeah,
probably
that's
why
the
they won't
problem.
do it. I'd still like to see maybe a version of this that's a little more fleshed out, that we get a little bit more from like the different characters and maybe some of their stories and that. Who were the henchmen number 1 and 2 for Leo? What were their names?
Guerra and Mace.
Cool. Give them something. We got a big guy on an ATV and another dude on a motocross thing, both made of fire. Sounds awesome. Those guys were Matthew Mercer and Yuri Lowenthal. I mean, like, give them more character.
How did the Burnish decide they were gonna go with, like, dominatrix gear?
I'm sorry, did you see their leader?
Yeah.
He mandated it.
And you're questioning
But
it?
I want to know how that happened.
Because Leo was the leader.
Also, like, they kind of, like, hinted at it, did not really, like, hammer it into everyone's skulls, but, like, these people haven't been aging since their Burnish awakening, so Leo's, like, 60 years old, actually.
That is an interesting thought.
Yeah, I couldn't decide if that was the case or if he took over from the other person, because they did confirm he was in his early 20s, but I'm like, physically or
That's
total?
what it means. Like, he keeps regenerating.
You know what that could be? Something that could be explored in a larger series.
All the Burnish people like, oh my god, I don't have my powers and now I'm aging.
Oh god, what if they just age rapidly now?
What if they're just, like, constantly, like, cold now?
Same.
Like, heat of summer, and they're like, oh my god, it's freezing, turn the fucking heater on.
Gallo, how are you, like, walking around without a shirt?
I feel like Leo would be very pissed off about that the first time he had to, like, actually bundle up.
It would be a little funny.
So I'm saying, they could make, like, a comedy follow-up with world building.
Now, a
slice
comedy,
of life.
a low-action comedy could be up Trigger's alley. I mean, I watched the Little Witch Academia series. It wasn't always, like, crazy magic action going on. You can make that work, maybe. I don't know. Do we have any other big thoughts we want to have about this real quick? Or have we all gotten out what we wanted to get out?
It's very geometrically shaped, and I didn't think I was gonna like that, but it worked surprisingly well for having, like, very distinct, like, visual tells for what perspective you were viewing a scene from.
I was going to say the music is really good because one of the best composers in the anime industry does the music.
I wasn't even offended they kept reusing the songs. I'm like, these songs are hype!
Yeah, Hiroyuki Sawano, I think that's how you pronounce it. Like, look up his discography of how many anime he's done in the last decade alone. And, yeah, you'll see that he's, you know, one of the best composers.
Inferno was trending for a really long time after this came out.
I have a question. When the credits started rolling and, like, we had everybody, like, showing their title cards again, wish I knew more about them, but, like, it's playing Inferno over it, and then it suddenly just stops, and then the other credits start. Did anyone find that a little, like, wow, you didn't want to fade that out? Or yeah, it's very jarring. It's like, we're in the middle of the song. Boop. Nope.
That woman has a very beautiful voice, and they definitely wanted to show it off.
Yeah.
I would have preferred they finished out Inferno, but I do believe Inferno's like a 6-minute song, so...
I mean, at the very least, fade it out. Just don't cut it abruptly. It felt like I've like worked on, like, videos and stuff for a long time, and it's like, that feels like 2007, you're in high school and you don't know how to use a fade yet, kind of thing. Just all the music stops abruptly. Speaking of, though, I think we're about at the end of, like, probably what most of our thoughts are. I'm a yay here, I think. I'd like to see more of it, but I don't know that that's necessarily, like, a criticism. If I want to see more, it's like, you did something right here, you know?
Yeah. I'd give it a light yay. Like, closer to a yay, but still, like, a light yay. Mostly just, like, because I would just like to have seen this, like, more long form. Like, I really would have wanted to just get in on the vibe and, like, stay there for a longer period of time. Everything else I liked, so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm a, like, yay.
I am a hard yay, a heavy yay. I'm looking forward to cosplaying this again.
Are you gonna make the dominatrix leather outfit?
Maybe.
What outfit did you do if you... Hold on. Just real quick. What outfit did you do if it wasn't the dominatrix outfit?
I think I just wore black.
Yeah, no, black,
We did this,
and, like, I
last
had a firefighter hoodie that I gave to her.
I'm a touch disappointed.
Yeah, because I was
being
cold.
honest.
Because she was cold.
Oh my god, they were cold at the end.
Wow.
Kozi was right all along.
Yeah, I'm a yay. It was hype-ish. Look.
So, how do we feel about keeping the hype train rolling?
Okay.
Hype train. We just got another subscriber.
What?
Oh,
The
what?
Twitch
it's on
joke.
Twitch.
Oh,
Hype
okay.
train.
Didn't realize you were on Twitch while you were doing this.
No, like
You said hype train.
I'm not on Twitch. I don't know what that means. I just...
if you get like a couple subscribers in a row, it's like it's a hype train. Everybody subscribe. And it's
The,
like
the
a
joke
little...
is dead, CC. It's
Cool,
dead on
yeah.
arrival.
My transition to us saying what we were gonna do, like, I did not work. That's fine. We're watching more Trigger stuff.
Hey,
so...
hey, believe in the CC that believes in that joke.
Hey, speaking of, let's watch that. Let's start with Gurren Lagann, the thing that's not a Trigger show, but is definitely a fucking Trigger show. And then we can watch some of their other stuff as we keep going. We can compare notes from like, hey, Gurren Lagann, where you started, and then like Promare, where you not ended. I mean, like they're still making stuff. They've still made stuff since then. But like, yeah, we can do that. One of their recent things was Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I heard that was very popular, but I didn't watch it yet because I didn't know nothing about Cyberpunk at the time. Kill la Kill we keep mentioning. We got to do that. And Little Witch Academia. Let's do this.
You don't need to know anything about Cyberpunk to watch that show.
I kind
Yeah.
of wanted to play the game.
No,
I
it's
wasn't
pretty
sure. But
it's pretty
hey,
standalone.
I'm going to throw this out there. We're going to find out pretty soon. So, yeah, come back for Trigger stuff and everything else we got going on. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!